Hallo und herzlich willkommen bei Folge 5 von Stray Gods, the Roleplaying Musical. Ja, beim letzten Mal haben wir die bisher emotionalste Folge erlebt, würde ich sagen. Wir haben Aphrodite vor dem erneuten Selbstmord bewahrt und dann recht unerwartet doch plötzlich mit Persephone angebandelt, die uns dann aber kurz vor knapp hat abblitzen lassen. Deswegen ich gesagt habe, es geht nicht, wir müssen gleich mit ihr reden. Wir sind gerade in Akt 2. Ich kann mir gut vorstellen, dass wir das Ding heute vielleicht sogar schon durchbekommen. Also nicht in der Folge jetzt, aber so in den nächsten 3-4 Folgen. Wir sind nämlich schon an Tag 4. Und wir haben ja nur eine Woche. Von daher gehe ich davon aus, dass wir das vielleicht sogar in der heutigen Session durchkriegen. Und wir schauen mal. Aber als erstes müssen wir nochmal mit ihr sprechen. Um rauszufinden, was das nun wieder war.
You've returned. I'm glad. I've had time to do some thinking. After Aphrodite's party, we never really spoke about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories. No doubt you have many questions.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
Okay.
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster? She was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Ich glaube, das ist auch so rein vom Verhältnis her heutzutage auch immer noch so, oder?
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Dass kriminelle Energie doch schon eher von Männern ausgeht.
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison
Im Großen und Ganzen.
of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
Gut, das wissen wir im Prinzip schon, dass es für die möglich ist, für immer zu sterben. Wahrscheinlich einfach dann, wenn niemand anders da ist, dem sie die Seele übergeben können. Aber wir fragen trotzdem mal.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her Eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The Eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an Eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. Who knows if there's any truth to that? It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
Werde ich mich anders fühlen, wenn ich mich
When all these
verändere?
memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
Wenn ich mich noch an mein eigenes Leben
You
erinnere.
said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't
Ja,
that
so
mean
wie
we've
bei
all
Aphrodite
forgotten
halt,
so
ne?
much?
Far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time.
Was es noch spannender macht, dass bei Aphrodite diese eine Erinnerung einfach nicht
It's
verblasst.
a lot to
Ne?
consider. Assuming I'll even have time to worry about it, what with the trial.
Weil sie so sehr geprägt hat.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
Okay, ich find's also auch alles sehr spannend, was wir jetzt hier gerade erfahren. Aber ich finde es ein bisschen schade, dass man jetzt auf den gestrigen Abend einfach gar nicht eingehen darf. Gefühlt. Also vielleicht kommt es ja gleich noch, aber das finde ich ein bisschen weird irgendwie, ehrlich gesagt. Dass, ja, irgendwie die beiden schon nah am Kuss waren und dann sie uns völlig abwirkt und wir darauf nicht eingehen dürfen. Aber wir dürfen nach Hades fragen. Was halt eine krasse Wunder bei ihr aufreißen wird. Das ist,
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And?
And if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Clio, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? That's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
ihr seid ihnen dann Freunde geworden.
If you disliked the muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
She sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment. I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. It made taking her in all the sweeter.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Oh, no, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then Eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, well, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
Okay. Was ich übrigens sehr auch vermute, ist, dass Athena die einzige Göttin ist, die immer noch ihre Ursprungsversion ist. Weil die als einzige noch sehr danach aussieht, sage ich mal.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse? Cleo.
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. He was dead before she was.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
Okay.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. Was there something before her? How did she get her eidolon? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
Cleverer Kniff. Das frage ich jetzt nicht, weil das hat sie mir gerade erklärt. Also, ohne Mist, das hat sie mir gerade erklärt, wie sie das nicht wissen kann.
Are you willing to talk about Hades? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'm just...
Incredibly curious how I ended up murdering my husband.
that, yeah.
You know, one might think that my hatred of Hades began when he kidnapped me and forced me to be his bride. But honestly, that wasn't it. I hated my brothers and sisters for letting it happen. Hades himself terrified me. He had a presence. I mean, one that forever made him the most important man in the room. And me? Oh, I was nothing in comparison. When Hades began doting on me, trying to earn my favor, I swooned that he might deign to think of me that way. For centuries, I actually thought I was in love, that the kidnapping was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny how our perspectives change.
Sehr spannender Spin wieder für die ganze Hades-Persephone-Geschichte, ne?
If you got along with Hades for so long, what changed?
I did. I grew up. I was a trophy for Hades. A conquest that he expected to remain meek and unchanging forever. He went out of his way to keep me small. I slowly realized that, he'd always been that way. Manipulation and arrogance behind the handsome sneer. We battled for centuries. I hated him, and I told him so, but he refused to part with me. He declared that I was his and would stay in the underworld where I belonged.
And that's when you killed him?
That's when I killed him, yes. The first time one idol had ever murdered another. Thank you very much.
I'm guessing the other idols weren't thrilled with you killing Hades.
Die Lautstärkenunterschiede sind halt echt nicht cool.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with me. And Athena was furious that the most powerful remaining idol had been lost. See, this was before the war and before all the new rules. The chorus had never once contemplated execution, but they certainly considered it then. In the end, they decided it was better to humiliate me. They ensured I did not benefit from Hades' murder, and stripped the throne I had wrested from his grasp.
Which you weren't happy about.
I asked them where they were all those years while I pleaded for help. I was held captive, and what was I expected to do? Would I lie down and take it forever because Hades was more useful to them alive? No. I stopped doing what was expected of me the day I slit his throat. May he rot in Tartarus with the Titans for all eternity.
How did you go from ruling the underworld to opening a nightclub named after it?
I won it in a bet with Dionysus, god of merriment.
Okay, there has to be a story there.
Well, the story is that he was a fool, but a charming one with many patrons. They built him a nightclub as his personal playground. And it was a grand old time for Dionysus in the 1970s, I assure you, but he didn't know how to run a business. By the time disco was ready to die, so was his stupid club. So I offered to make it profitable. If I succeeded, he would turn ownership over to me. He accepted because, frankly, all he wanted to do was drink anyhow. I was successful. The club became mine, and I kicked Dionysus out for never paying his tab.
Sucks to be him.
Dionysus ever sobers up, he might decide to be sore about it, but so far that hasn't happened.
Tja. Was zwischen dir und Apollo passiert?
What's the deal between you and Apollo? The way you two fight.
I've told you how he and the other idols stood by and let me rot with Hades, did I not?
It seems more personal than that.
Okay, there's an old saying that no one escapes the underworld. But that's not true. I did. Once. Not long after Hades kidnapped me. I was homesick, and I missed my mother. Grauton took pity on me and allowed me across the Styx. And after that, grace, I waded through darkness itself to get out of there. Hades chased after me relentlessly, but I evaded him, right up until I got to the very slopes of Olympus. And who do you suppose was the first?
Ja, tja.
Uh-oh.
Apollo stood there. I cried out to him, begging him not to let Hades take me, and yet Apollo did as he has always done. Absolutely nothing. Hades was thrilled. And I knew then and there I could never rely on my so-called family for anything, ever again.
Tja, nachvollziehbar. Also ihre Sicht. Ja, also das frage ich jetzt nicht, weil das finde ich eine alberne Frage, ehrlich gesagt.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Oh yes, that's where I'll be. Around.
Also das finde ich wirklich schade, dass man irgendwie jetzt auf den Song am Ende der letzten Folge gar nicht eingehen darf. Bisschen komisch.
This must be the Viper's Nest. Scariest part of town, no sign. Just that one dude glaring at everyone. Well, I'm here now. Just another day in the life of an idol.
Ugh, there you are. Man, this place is the worst. I think someone peed on me.
Freddie? What are you doing here?
What, you thought I
Sie
wouldn't
hat
notice you
einen
skulking
Morgenstern.
off? You didn't even bring any equipment, Grace.
What kind of equipment does one bring to a meeting with Medusa?
This isn't a meeting, Grace. You're not here to sell her on your business plan.
Please tell me you don't have any weapons in there.
Nothing that would get me stopped on the bus. Look, you're gonna need
Ich
some
weiß ja,
backup
also ich weiß nicht.
in there. Okay, do you even know anything about Medusa?
Okay, I'll bite. What do you know about Medusa?
Well, you know she was human once, right? And she was cursed.
Apollo mentioned it, yeah.
Cursed by Athena. Or so one of the stories goes, anyway.
But doesn't she work for Athena?
Hey, don't look at me. My knowledge of this stuff stops at a few thousand years ago.
She was once human, but she's definitely a monster, right?
Yeah, one of the worst. But, you know, so was the Minotaur.
Asterion said she was scary. I have a feeling she's not like him.
Then I guess you need to be prepared for the possibility that she is as bad as the legends say. Though some of the stories also say that she was wronged by Athena and that what was done to her was an injustice.
And Athena just follows the rules, right? Do you think she actually turns people to stone?
Let's hope not, or this could be a short visit. Or a really, really long one.
I'm serious!
Perseus used a mirror to reflect Medusa's gaze back at her. Oh, maybe you could use your phone.
You think that would work?
Unless you brought a mirror, Grace, it's all you got.
Ich finde es wirklich, auch mit dem, dass manchmal die Texte übersetzt sind, manchmal nicht, finde ich auch irgendwie wild. Weil es teilweise nur ein Satz ist, der nicht übersetzt ist. Oder eine der Auswahlmöglichkeiten. Das ist irgendwie lustig. Da frage ich mich, also ne, man kann eben wieder davon ausgehen, dass es nicht sonderlich professionell gemacht wurde einfach. Und das ist ja auch okay. Aber da frage ich mich, wie das passiert, dass so einfach eine Antwortmöglichkeit Englisch bleibt.
Okay, enough talking. Time to do this.
You have a plan for how we're getting inside, I hope?
Maybe. You're here to help?
Always.
Then I have a plan.
Ablenkung. Let's go.
Hi, this is where the comic convention is, right? I hope I'm not too late for the signing.
Ma'am, I'm afraid you had the wrong address.
What? No. Oh God, no. No, that can't be right. Do you understand the indignities that I have endured? The weird looks, the body odors. Someone spilled coffee all over my cosplay outfit. No, do not tell me that I got
Just
it
keep
wrong.
them
I spent
busy while I'm
$50 on this
around.
ticket. I demand my personal photo.
Das war sehr unplausibel, dass wir da einfach reinlaufen konnten. Ja, sieht nach einem ganz normalen Club aus. Also ich...
What a long day, hiding in the light. Such a long day, dreaming of tonight. This sacred bite. Hello, who's that there? You've messed up my flow. Just get your drink, girl, and take your seat. Oh, it's the muse. There are sacred bites, and then there's this sacred bite. So wrong, so
warning you. This is something you don't want to do.
Tell me more about me, look at you. A prime sashimi with opinions too.
Medusa, listen, I'm warning you.
Yes, keep on warning
There's no
me.
rewinding, it's something you can't undo. Can't undo.
It's kind of the point, lovely. Now look into me. Your body goes freely every time as it tenders, turning gently as it
Kämpfe.
What'd you say, Grace? You okay, Grace? Where's the game face this time? You are currently experiencing something I like to call the preparation. Any questions or comments? That's right, it is widely known that I can turn folks to stone. But oh, I won't this time. Cause this time I find dine that oozy moozy bloods my wine this time. Look into me. Oh, she's looking away. Hey, look
You flipped that hood.
me.
Then out came the snakes. Oh, you're so good. Finally, some steaks. Oh, the ice thing. What a difference an actual monster makes.
Nutzen wir unser Wissen gleich mal.
Like this.
Nutzen wir es gleich mal.
She was mad at me. So
Well, why was she mad?
she said I'd been bad.
Had you been?
No. Now look into me.
Probier es nochmal.
Medusa, look into your own eyes.
Wahrscheinlich klappt es nicht, ne?
Okay, the phone thing doesn't work on you. Ooh. Nevertheless, let's take a look at you. Fan called you hideous. That's just untrue.
Enough.
I'd kill for eyes like that. The body too.
Don't look at me.
Maybe the hair needs some attending to.
Don't look at me.
Big picture, honey. It's nothing you can't undo. Yeah, you're not a killer. You're much too cute.
You're lost, little girl. No more Hail Marys. We both know the cute girl's you. The killer's me.
Don't know, you don't know.
I do know that you didn't
Kill Calliope. So you know that it's true that I didn't do it.
No.
Yes, you do know, you know. Does that mean Athena knows?
No.
Let's try.
Fine Grace.
Don't you see, Medusa? You are just hurting. Your queen's a user. Your Athena's feet will be slightly tougher. She's a friend, but you're really we can get you free.
You said to me,
Persephone can get you free.
so free.
Is that a yes?
That's a maybe.
Maybe what? Did I miss something?
Is she serious?
That depends. What do you think, Medusa? Will you help me out?
Oh, fine.
Also ich hoffe jetzt einfach mal, dass
What
Persephone
exactly
ihr
is it
helfen
that
kann,
you
dass es
want,
wirklich stimmt.
pretty muse?
Also ich muss sagen, das war der erste Song, den ich nicht so cool fand. Er hatte seine Momente, aber er war insgesamt sehr überladen, fand ich. Also das war eine bewusste Entscheidung, aber ich fand, das wirkte nicht wie so ein Wortgefecht, sondern einfach überladen, als würden sie einfach übereinander brüllen. Naja.
You were at the reliquary the night Calliope was murdered. I want to know why.
Blast! This is why I didn't tell Lady Athena. I knew it would come back to haunt me. I only followed pretty Calliope to the reliquary. I never spoke to her, never even caught up to her. I swear it.
That's what Asterion told us, more or less.
But you were there that night.
Yes, I admit it. Ugh, Lady Athena will have my head. She'll mount it on a pike. Whatever you might think of me, I had no part in the Muse's death. I did not even know she'd been attacked until I saw her fleeing.
You followed Calliope to the reliquary. Why were you shadowing her at all?
I am Lady Athena's spy master, yes. Calliope has been trouble from time to time.
So you were spying on her?
I keep watch over every idol who no longer lives in Olympus, but especially Calliope. When I realized she was headed to the reliquary that eve, I followed. I had a duty to Athena.
Okay. Ja, das wäre halt wirklich wichtig. Was genau wollte sie eigentlich?
Did you ever find out why Calliope went there?
I was never close enough to ask. When I drew near to the reliquary, that is when I saw the muse fleeing. She was frightened, blooded, dying.
Let me guess, that made you hungry.
I gave chase, yes, but to discover the truth. I knew Lady Athena would wish to know.
That does make sense from your perspective.
I didn't learn the truth until later. And then it was far too late.
Du hast ja nichts
You
gesagt?
haven't told Athena any of this? You agreed to help, remember?
I told her Calliope was at the reliquary that night. I did not tell her I was also there.
Why not? Wouldn't Athena find out from Hecate anyway?
No, I was not thinking clearly. I panicked. Lady Athena barely tolerates my presence as it is. If she thought I was involved in any way, if she even suspected.
Okay.
Asterion said he caught up with you out in the fog. Is that right?
I thought he was the one who had attacked her. He is a great beast of a creature.
He killed Hecate's cat by accident, but this still seems hard to believe.
Yes, I only realized my mistake once I caught up to him, and by then the muse was gone.
And you never found her afterwards?
I thought she might flee to her pretty home, or to the sharp and prickly Persephone. She did neither.
Yeah, she came to see me. Why should we believe you? You did just try to eat me, remember?
I agreed to help you. I speak the truth.
Right, and not at all trying to cover your own ass.
You presented an opportunity. Oh, to taste the sweet, sweet blood of a hero once again. It's a problem. I've been working on it, I really have.
Uh-huh.
Well, what of Pan? The only reason I knew Calliope was going to the reliquary is because he informed me.
So much for never lying to me.
What were the odds, honestly?
Let's put a pin in that for the moment, shall we?
I am a monster. It's true, I do not deny it. But still, I did not kill the muse.
Okay.
Okay, let's say we believe you. For the moment.
I've told you everything I know. We have a bargain. You said my curse might be lifted.
Hey, I'll ask Persephone. That's all I can do.
Whatever you do, pretty muse, I beg you. Do not tell Athena.
Ja gut, du, Medusa, wenn es am Ende darum geht, meinen eigenen Arsch zu retten, werde ich es vielleicht müssen.
It horrifies me as well. I cannot help what I am. I did not ask to be cursed like this.
Whether I tell Athena depends. Have you done this before?
I
Don't you think Athena should know what her spy master is like?
No, she cannot. I am a lost and cursed thing. No idol. If Lady Athena should learn the truth... I hope you find what you seek, pretty muse. And that we meet again someday. And sing a different song.
He knew. Right from the start, Pan knew Calliope was there that night.
Yeah, and who could have foreseen that he was lying to you the entire time? Who, I ask you, a mystery even the Oracle couldn't have penetrated.
Okay, du hattest recht.
Yes, fine. You were right, Freddy. As always.
Ha! See, was that so hard? Anyhow, you probably have a few questions for Mr. Goatman. I'll see you at home.
Would you really have tried to burn Medusa's face off? With an aerosol can?
Hell yeah! One hint of googly eyes and...
What would I do without you?
You'll never need to answer that question, Grace.
Okay. Hahn wusste also von Anfang an Bescheid. Und er wusste wahrscheinlich auch, dass wir es rausfinden werden. Na, weil er hat uns ja den Hinweis erstmal gegeben überhaupt.
The lovely Grace?
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I told you I didn't know what happened to Calliope, and that's the truth. I did not. So I nudged you in the right direction.
Why? Is there some reason you need to know what happened to Calliope?
Is that so strange? Don't we all desire justice?
You sent me to the reliquary because you wanted justice.
Medusa learned that Calliope was going to the reliquary because I told her. Now, before you say anything, I had no idea of the fate awaiting our dear muse. And you yourself said Medusa was not responsible. I simply had to know if I'd inadvertently, rather innocently...
Okay.
Sold her out? She came to you for help, and you gave her whereabouts to the highest bidder.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do.
So, wir sind jetzt schon bei Tag 5. Okay, fürs erste Zeit nach Hause gehen, aber wir gehen nochmal zu ihr. Persephone. Weil das mit Medusa wollen wir natürlich schon angucken noch.
Back again so soon, Grace? You're practically a regular at the club.
Natürlich.
Did you end up finding Medusa? Or did she vanish the moment you came near, like she does with every other idol?
She definitely did not vanish. Maybe I better explain what happened.
I knew it. We never should have brought that monster to the New World. Athena's a fool to think Medusa can be controlled. You're fortunate to have made it out in one piece. It could have gone very poorly for you.
Ja, ist es ja nicht. Easy. Okay, ich sag mal so, das ist zwar die Romance-Option, aber das klingt halt wirklich eher vorwurfsvoll. Ich muss das tun.
I know, but let's focus on the important part of the story.
Which is that if you believe what she says, Medusa appears to be exonerated.
And that brings us back to Pan.
I don't imagine you've confronted him yet.
He admitted to selling out Calliope, but not to killing her. I don't know if I can believe him.
Nor I. Pan would do anything to save his own skin. Allow me some time to consider our next move. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
Okay, ich frage jetzt doch mal, weil ich sonst Angst habe, dass die neue Optionen nicht kommen.
Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Aliens? Grace, you watch too many movies.
Gods are okay, but aliens are just wacky fiction.
Fine, yes. It is strange. Well, our earliest days aren't the only blanks in our memories, however. We have many. And the last was the day Zeus called us all together to tell us Rome had fallen and we should prepare for war. But did that war occur? I couldn't tell you. The last thing I remember after Rome was 1,000 years later, in the 16th century. I was in a different body, feeling as if no time at all had passed. Athena calls that period the gap. That's what it feels like. All of us experience
okay, interessant.
Not one of us
Mir
knows
fehlen also
why
wirklich
or how.
tausende Jahre, hunderte und tausende Jahre.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...?
I wasn't asleep. I lived. I had lives. I passed on my eidolon. I may have known who I was and what I was, but perhaps I was completely unaware. All I know is that one day, Athena came to my nunnery, near Trieste, I think. The moment that I saw her, all the old memories came flooding.
Ja, was mir wieder sagt, Athene ist die einzige, die noch nie den Körper gewechselt hat.
If someone did that to us,
ich glaube, sie weiß alles.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena woke up on her own, so she claims, and spent the next century rounding up those idols who remained. Zeus, however, was gone. What became of him, what happened in Rome, we've never pieced it together. It's troubling.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
That's putting it mildly.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Honestly, after my mother was murdered, I barely remember.
Your mother?
Her name was Demeter. Not truly my mother, but an idol who had always cared for me since the early days. I thought we'd be together forever. Then Ares brought those filthy bastards down on us. Demeter was slain by bullets. By bullets. Until that day, I believed we were untouchable.
I'm so sorry. That must have been hard to lose her like that.
I watched her fall. Heard her scream. I would have run to her, but I was pulled away to safety. By Hermes, I think. And whatever was left of the old Persephone. The innocent girl with the long hair who loved her gardens. She died with Demeter that day. After that, I don't know. We went from hiding place to hiding place. I didn't even know what Hephaestus had done for us when I found myself on a boat. We might have been gods once, but after the war, we were just refugees, like so many others, fleeing to a distant land.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the New World? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't the place that was hard, it was the fear. We knew we were vulnerable. We knew mortals could and would kill us. Suddenly, there were rules. We had to be secret. We had to stay close together. We huddled in the shadows and quaked each time the mortals so much as breathed in our direction. We couldn't all live that way. Some of us drifted away, faded into the night without so much as an explanation. That's what's been the hard part. Our inevitable decline in a place where we don't belong. We can pass on our eidolons as often as we like, but it will never truly be home.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Oh yes, that's where I'll be. Around.
Ah, interessant, man kann mit Leertaste pausieren. Okay, aber auch hier, ich finde es, ja, da merkst du halt wirklich wieder, dass vielleicht da einfach nicht die Studiogröße und Kraft hinter war. Ich weiß nicht, wie groß Summerfall Studios ist, aber dass man jetzt Medusa verspricht, wir werden sie fragen, ob sie dir helfen kann und dich vom Fluch befreien kann, aber dann nur erzählen, was passiert ist, aber das nicht thematisieren können, ist irgendwie, ja, schon komisch. Naja, gut. So, wir sind bei Tag 5 angekommen, auch wenn sich diese Schrift hinter der Cam verdeckt, aber wir sind jetzt bei Tag 5. Den werden wir dann beim nächsten Mal spielen und ja, steuern immer mehr aufs Ende zu. Bis dahin. Tschüss.